Ahoy there, non-jabroni nation. I am Adam Joad, the host of the Appalachian Apostle, and I'm here today to count down my top 5 Adam Joad's favorite true Hollywood stories. Now, I got this idea. It ain't my idea originally. I got it from the Dave Chappelle Show, which is an amazing show, and my first favorite thing about the Dave Chappelle Show is Clayton Bigsby. That's amazing. But my second favorite thing was Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories. And if y'all ever watch the ones he did about like Prince and Rick James, they're amazing. We're all still walking around quoting those things. So it got me thinking, Appalachian Apostle? Yes, Adam Joad? Why don't I tell my true Hollywood stories? Because they would just be epic with my superb storytelling capabilities and the random stuff that I find myself in. Now, I do want to give a disclaimer on this. In many situations, these stories are the best to my recollection. Now, there's a few things that can affect my recollection. Number one being, in many of these situations, I was already shit-can hammered, or 3 sheets of the wind, and it could affect exactly how I remember it occurring. The other thing is, I done been punched in the head a lot of times. So, sometimes my memory ain't as good as it used to be. And the older I get, the better I remember myself being. So, the following 5 stories are Adam Joad's favorite true Hollywood stories, the best to my recollection. So let's get into this and start with number 5. Paul Stanley looked at me. Yes. If all y'all didn't know, and you've been living under a rock somewhere, you know that Kiss is one of my all-time favorite bands in the universe. And one time we had a day off tour, and we just so happened to have a very dear friend that was one of Gene Simmons' bass techs. And he called us up and he said, "Hey, why don't you guys stop by and I'll come show you Kiss's stuff." What? You're gonna show us Kiss's stuff? And sure as shit, we got there. We got to walk in, we got to go backstage, and there I was. Adam Joad was shitting his pants. We were back there. There was everything. I was holding Gene Simmons' bass. I was looking at all things. I was grabbing Eric Singer's drumsticks out of his drum riser. Though I was not allowed to play the drums. I was like, can I play this? No. I had a lot of questions. Can I do this? No. Can you touch this? Yes, thank you. And then I would play things. Picked up Gene's bass, like I said. I was playing Detroit Rock City. That's not what he plays on bass. But it's what all the other badasses are doing on the 6th string. But there I was, holding the Demon Slinger's bass, the axe that I could cut jabronis with. And I'm back there and I'm walking around and I'm looking at all things. The other techs had so many questions they had to answer from me. And I'm asking, I was like, well, how does this spark work on the shocker guitar? How does this work? How does this work? Can I see the Paul Stanley guitar that he breaks? Like, I just had all these questions. And I'm walking around, I'm taking pics, putting them in my pocket, drumsticks, things like that. I'm just enjoying myself. And I don't remember exactly how it came to pass, but turns out somebody there liked SH or something, and they wanted to take a picture with us. Now, I'm more than cordial with pictures. I'm like, of course, I'll take a picture of you, but I need to get back to looking at Kiss, the rock god's equipment. So, after my picture, my photo op, I walk back there to the table, and I'm looking and I'm checking out one of the cracked mirror Ibanez's that Paul uses, and I'm like, ooh, and I'm looking at him, I'm asking the guy many questions. This was the purple one this tour. And in the middle of asking these questions, the door opens up to one of the dressing rooms, and out from the door walks the legend himself, Paul Stanley. And for a minute, we both locked eyes. Here I am holding his guitar. Some weird dude in a cowboy hat and no sleeves, spitting in a cup, is holding his guitar. And he looks over at me and does one of these. And then rolls his eyes and turns around and walks back into the dressing room and shuts the door. So yes, Paul Stanley looked at me, the Appalachian Apostle, while I was holding his guitar, and he didn't even tell me to put it down. He didn't come out and introduce himself either, but he didn't tell me to put it down. So I feel we have a special connection now. And that's why my number 5 favorite true Hollywood story is the day that Paul Stanley looked at me. Before we get to number 4, I gotta take a sip of my Rat Punch here. I made a fresh batch of Rat Punch just for this particular episode of the Appalachian Apostle. And that is a nod to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, if you didn't know. And if you didn't know, That's jabronious. Go watch that episode. Anyway, number 4 is meeting Maynard James Keenan of Tool and not knowing it was Maynard James Keenan of Tool. Now, if any of y'all grew up listening to Tool or still are Tool fans or Puss Fur or any of the Perfect Circle, any of the other awesome things that he does, you know that these are not high-profile individuals in terms of they didn't like put their face all over everything. Not like myself. I like to put my face all over everything because I'm humble. Anyway, so I was a fan of Maynard James Keenan, but I didn't exactly know how to pick him out of our lineup of somebody. And I happened to find myself backstage at the Golden Gods Awards, the Metal Golden Gods Awards. There's my pass. VIP. Let's kick it. No. Anyway, sorry. I'm getting off track with my Vanilla Iceness. However, I was at this event circa probably 2010-ish, I guess. Oh, it says it on here. April 7th, 2009. Anyway, I was backstage, and the backstage area had its own, like, bar. And if there was ever a special metal hell, it was at this bar. Because the people drinking back there were all, like, from all the Metal God bands. Like, there was Vinnie Paul. He was back there just hanging out, talking to people. The dudes in Slipknot were walking around in full Slipknot gear. And, I went into the bathroom and bumped into Kerry King. And, I went outside to get some air in the special VIP area. And Lemmy's out there smoking. So it was just like, this is incredible. Now, even in a backstage area like this, there was even an upper echelon tier. Like Ozzy and Dave Mustaine and stuff, they had their own room. We couldn't see them. They didn't want to look at the Appalachian Apostle or anybody else. And that's their bad. Because I feel that I could have given them special gifts. Maybe I'd have given them some chew. Here, Dave, would you like some Red Man? Ozzy. Perhaps you would like a chew. I don't know. But anyway, those things didn't happen. But what did happen was there was a second bar that was kind of on the outside where you could still see the event up above you. And at this bar, there was nobody else there. So that's why I went to it, because it was less crowded, and I wanted to get my drink. So I was back there. I was getting my whiskey or whatever it is that Adam Joad's drinking. I know I was in Los Angeles, so they didn't have Yingling, so that was unacceptable. And they didn't have Busch Light cans, so I'm sure I was drinking whiskey. So I'm back there, I'm drinking whiskey from a glass, and there's a fella, the only one other person besides the bartender, sitting at the end. He wasn't sitting, he was standing at the end of the bar, wearing in like this all-white, Fred Flintstone looking suit. He looked badass, and he was drinking a glass of wine. Like a very debonair glass of wine. Drinking it like he knew about the glass of wine. Now, when I drink glass of wine, I'm talking like Mad Dog 2020. I don't even have to put it in a glass, or like Thunderbird. But this guy looked like he knew his wine. This all will make sense pretty soon. So he's sitting back there, he's standing. Let me revisit the story. Whoop, he's standing. And he looks over at me, and he smiles, and he holds up his glass of wine. So I hold up my whiskey. And went back to him. I'm sitting there drinking. I look back up. He's still looking at me. And he holds up his glass of wine again. And I'm like, drinking my whiskey. I was like, all right, it's getting a little weird now. There's a weird man wearing an all-white suit, drinking wine, and he keeps toasting me. So, I'm sitting back down there again. I look back up. Holds a glass of wine up again. So I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta have to talk to this guy because some weird shit's going on now. So I went over and I'm just like, hey man, what's up? He's like, not much. Are you enjoying the event? Yes. And we exchanged some pleasantries like that. I was like, Adam Joad. He's like, Maynard. And I'm like, oh, it's Maynard James Keenan from Tool. And Adam Joad, the Appalachian Apostle, had no idea. I've been sitting here in this awkward go back and forth toast people with Maynard. And I'm just like, holy crap, this is like boom, 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 boom. This is metal. So my number 3 true Hollywood story has to do with me going to LA Inc. for an after party with Scott Ian and his entourage. Now, this one came about in a strange, roundabout way. Now, I used to share a rehearsal space with Scott Ian. His other band, Pearl, used to go in there and rehearse. So we had the Anthrax Persistence of Time amps in the room, which to me, as a kid that got a school picture taken in an Anthrax Knotman shirt, was quite an amazing thing. And so I was forever going back there whenever he would come in and asking him probably very annoying questions about things. And sometimes I'd reach back and be like, take pics and stuff. Like he'd come in and be like, I'll just give you pics. You don't have to take them from me. I still have some. But I would take them, and sometimes like I would even change Pearl's set lists around where I would like write Anthrax songs that they should be playing. So they'd have a set list in a while. I'd just come like scratch one out and be like, Among the Living. I would put that down. Misery Loves Company. You know, I'd put different songs on it. Or I would write Not, or things that I thought were amazingly funny. I'm sure he did not. But it was so awesome to have these things there just as a kid and a fan and stuff. It just blew my mind. Now, I wasn't always this high-rolling powerhouse legend that you see before you. I can't even say that with a straight face. But anyway, I wasn't always where I am right now. How about that? So sometimes getting free booze was a pretty big deal. So one time I just happened to be hanging around, and if you always want to run into cool things, hang around with people that are further along than you are, and you'll randomly find yourself in situations like this one I'm about to tell you. So with the lure of free beer and booze, I ended up like at, I believe it was the Key Club at the time, and they were shooting an episode of that documentary Rockstar Wives, I believe. So I was back in this little trailer, and I'm back there drinking my free booze as the weird guy on the end on the show that nobody knows who he is. But, you know, you're in there, and you're in there, there's like, I think that one of the dudes from Fall Out Boy was in there. There was like just this random connection of people. And at some point in time, I'm not exactly sure how it came to pass, but I believe that Kat Von D walked in and was like, hey, when the show's over, we're having an after party, you guys should come down. Now, of course, she's not talking to me, she's talking to Scott and that crew. But being a hanger-on, that also means that vicariously now you get to go do this thing. So, I don't know, when the show is over, it's like 2, 3 in the morning or something, I find myself at LA Inc., which I had only ever seen on TV at this point. So, they're having this after party at LA Inc. with maybe like 20 people in the room, and everybody's sitting around, they're drinking, they're having fun. Now I'm in a room, again, I think there's a dude from Fall Out Boy, there's Jeffree Star, some cross-dressing dude, which looks really strange with the Appalachian Apostle standing next to cross-dressers. Hey, however you want to express yourself, that's cool with me. But it just was an odd scene. There's like, I think it was Roy Orbison's son was there, and Scott, and all these other people, and they're in the back getting like tattoos of 666. These little ones. I don't remember who exactly got one. I didn't, because like I said, I was just trying to pretend like I belonged. And at some point in the night, like, there was people breaking bottles on the floor, and it was just like this Hollywood chaos, like, sort of event. And I'm just like standing there like a fly on the wall going, this is really happening right now. And there's metal gods in the room. There's B-list celebrities. There's A-list celebrities. There's just this whole like strange thing that generally only happens in Hollywood that somehow I've been scooped up into the whirlwind and placed in it. And there I am, the Appalachian Apostle, drinking whiskey, spitting in a cup, hanging out, watching the whole thing, making some new friends. And this story really has no point, just the absurdity of it. Because just picture myself in this very odd situation with all these things going down, and that's why it's my number 3 favorite Adam Joad true Hollywood story is going to an after party at LA Inc. with Scott Ian and his entourage. Because that's metal. We're up to number 2 on Adam Joad's true Hollywood stories. And number 2 is one of my favorite ones of all time. It was meeting Robert Trujillo and Lars Ulrich of the legendary Metallica. Now, just to give you a little background, I was at an event, and it was kind of like a celebrity jam for charity, which was like invite only, and they opened up only a few tickets to the public. Now, for this event, I actually happened to be invited, so it was pretty cool. I didn't have to act like I belonged and just like sneak in. No, this one I actually was invited. So I went there, and I got in, and I was watching. Now, let me preface this a little bit. This ain't like the celebrity jams in LA where it's like the third bass player from YNT's friend that hung out with Def Leppard twice who's getting up on bass and playing tonight. Yeah, that happens. Well, it'll be like, yeah, featuring members of. I was like, he ain't a member of that band. I saw him working the merchandise table. But anyway, this is a real jam. I'm talking, there was like Jerry Cantrell was there. Mick Mars was on stage jamming. Alanis Morissette, Nuno Betancourt, Cypress Hill was there. Like, it was some serious A-list players. Like, Vince Vaughn was in the audience. You know, and we're talking an audience of like maybe, and we're talking like an audience of maybe like less than 100 people. Or maybe it was 100 people. I don't know. It was a small room, and it was really cool. So this whole thing's going on, and I'm just sitting there like just spellbound going, man, who's going to get up next and jam? Now, of course, I wasn't invited up to jam because I'm not there yet. But in my head, I was ready to go. But anyway, so I'm sitting there just waiting to see who's going on next, and some dude bumps into me. And he turns around and he's like, hey, man, I'm sorry about that. And I looked down, it was Robert Trujillo, and I was like, whoa. And so my first thing in my head, I was like, Infectious Grooves. Now, if all y'all don't know that, Robert Trujillo played with many bands. He played with Suicidal Tendencies, Infectious Grooves, Black Label Society, Ozzy he played with at some point. And he just started cracking up, so he turned around and he just starts talking to me. So now it's just me and Robert Trujillo sitting in this little circle in the middle of all these people, and we're talking about Suicidal Tendencies and Infectious Grooves, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. But then it got cooler. The guy he was with turned around, and it's freaking Lars Ulrich, and I'm just like, and he just chimes into our conversation. Now it's me, Lars, Robert Trujillo, and we're talking about Suicidal Tendencies and Infectious Grooves and getting Pepsis that they wouldn't give to me and all these things. And it was just going so awesome. I was like, this is really cool. And one of the funniest things happened then. Some dude bumped into Lars. And Lars looked over at the dude and was like, oh, excuse me. And the dude looks at him and was like, you're that guy. And Lars looks back at him and does the classiest thing I've ever seen. He goes, no, you're that guy. And the guy was like, no, you're that guy. And Lars is like, no, you're that guy. And the guy just got really confused, and he put his head down and walked away. And we all laughed about it, went back to start talking about Infectious Grooves. And I asked them, I was like, hey, you guys getting up and jamming tonight? And they're like, nah, we're just hanging out, like, you know, just gonna watch some of the cool people rocking out up there. And I'm like, yes. So they turned around and we all stood there and we watched the next person who came up there, which in this case happened to be Mick Mars, which was awesome because they played Kickstart My Heart. That's killer. But anyway, so all y'all are dogging Lars and be like, Lars is an asshole. Lars was cool as shit to me whenever I met him. He didn't know me from anybody. And he was nice to the other dude who bumped into him too. He was funny about it, you know, because I'm sure he gets that stuff all the time. And like you, man, I grew up listening to Metallica. I loved it. And when that Napster era came, yeah, I was a little bummed out. I'd be like, yeah, Metallica is selling out. Yeah, I thought that until I found out my album was illegally downloaded 100,000 times in Russia, and I'm looking at my bank account going, oh, man, I would have had a lot of extra money. Because Lars was right. So yeah, quit hating on Lars. He was cool, the Appalachian Apostle. He was a nice dude, and he was right about all the illegal download money and stuff. So, yeah, my number 2 favorite Adam Joad true Hollywood story was meeting Lars Ulrich and Robert Trujillo of the legendary Metallica. Of creeping death. Die, die by my hand. I creep across the land. Killing firstborn males. You can't write something more metal than that. I don't care how many churches you burn and how shitty your music sounds and how evil you try to be. That's metal. Boom. Now, I know y'all been spellbound with these amazing true Hollywood stories I'm telling you, but the number 1 takes the cake from all these. The number 1 Adam Joad true Hollywood story is finding a wallet with Lemmy. Now, what can you say about Lemmy? Lemmy is God. Lemmy, Mr. Ace of Spades, Devil's Wrist, the Iron Fist, so many things. Lemmy is just a legend. And one afternoon, I happened to be sitting at a bar called The Rainbow, which if any of y'all watch the documentary, you know that's where Lemmy hangs out. There's probably like 5 people. I was by myself with, and there was like 4 other guys, myself, and Lemmy was sitting, drinking his Jacks, playing video poker at the end. So we're like in this little L-shaped thing. Here's Lemmy. Here's the rest of us sitting there. So I could reach out and probably touch Lemmy. I wouldn't dare touch Lemmy, but I could have. But I didn't. Don't do that. Anyway. So we're sitting there and, you know, just sitting back. And this time I remembered, because at the Rainbow I was drinking, I had my tickets. I was drinking Jack and Cokes. Or it's actually Jim Beam's that are well whiskey, I think. Anyway, at the time I was drinking Jim Beam Coke. And I'm sitting there and one of the dudes gets up and walks away. And I look down on the floor and there's a wallet. So I picked the wallet up and I held it up in the air and I said, did anybody lose a wallet? As a normal person would do. And Lemmy looks up. He hadn't said a word to this point. He goes, let me be seeing that wallet. So when Lemmy tells you let him be seeing a wallet, you let him see the wallet. So I took the wallet and I handed it to Lemmy. Because Lemmy's going to know what to do with the wallet. And Lemmy takes the wallet, goes through it, he pulls out the driver's license, which was a pretty smart move that I didn't think of. And he puts it back in. And next thing you know, the other guy that had got up walks back and sits back down. Lemmy goes, "Hey." And the guy like looks over him, and Lemmy took the wallet and throws it at him. "You dropped your wallet." And the guy catches the wallet, and he's flabbergasted. He's just like, "Lemmy found my wallet." And he looked over at Lemmy and goes, "Man, Lemmy, thank you." And Lemmy goes, "No, don't be thanking me. You be thanking that man right there." And he was pointing at the Appalachian apostle, Adam Joad. Lemmy just told him to be thanking me. And the dude looks over and is like, "Thank you." I was like, "You're welcome." And then while we were all still standing there looking at each other, I held my glass in the air. I said, "No, we all need to be thanking Lemmy for writing the Ace of Spades." And Lemmy holds his glass up and goes, "Here, here." Puts it down and he goes back to playing video poker. Now you don't have a story like that. We found a wallet with Lemmy. And we toasted to him writing the Ace of Spades. If that is an amazing Adam Joad true Hollywood story. And that's why it's #1. And I got more volumes of this stuff coming. So hey guys, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Appalachian Apostle this week. We're counting down my favorite true Hollywood stories. Gonna have more stuff coming up. Scatter Hamlet's gonna be in the studio soon. We're gonna be on the road again this summer. Got some special festival appearances, all kinds of cool stuff. If you will, share this video, tell a friend. Try to save the world from jabroniism, because that's what I'm doing here. I'm providing public service and keeping the world jabroni free, one YouTube video at a time. So subscribe, like it, share, and most importantly, don't be a jabron.